Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Techigy Podcast. This is Techigy Play, and this is a special episode for Halloween. Ooh, spoopy. So this month we're actually going to have 3 games, and this is the first of those. And this one is Frankenstein's Monster for the Atari 2600, based on Mary Shelley's 1818 novel Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus. It was released by Data Age and published by Data Age for the Atari 2600 in 1983. The plot of the game is that you play a character that has to make his way through the ghoulish castle of Dr. Frankenstein, where he must prevent him from completing his creation. Ooh. The player must gather stones, although I think they look more like bricks, from the dungeons and bring them to the tower, where your player must build a barricade around Frankenstein's monster. Ooh. Before he has accumulated enough energy to come alive, which he does. Using a power probe that absorbs an electrical storm that's happening in the game. Frankenstein's Monster. M2, what do you got?
What is there to say about this game other than it's better than Shaq Fu? That's not a high bar, but I wanted to get that out of the way, right? I mean, the graphics for the time, they're okay. I didn't quite realize that the guy up top was Frankenstein's monster for a little bit, if I'm going to be a little honest. It also took me probably 3 lives to figure out where I was. I was a little thrown off because I guess I'm gonna shoot straight with you. I don't know if there's multiple levels because I didn't get past the first one. And there's a few reasons why. One, you can jump on the second and third floor, but not the first floor, and that really threw me off, and I was a little confused, and I kept dying to the spiders. The spiders are like drivers in South Georgia in that they go like 5 miles per hour under the speed I want to be going. And so I was getting impatient. I kept running into spiders. And then every time I get a brick, it was like everything was quadrupled in speed. Nothing was going to let me get back and put the brick there. I liked the sound design. It was definitely scary how much I wanted to quit playing it sometimes. But I definitely think, it's not a game I'd seek out playing, but I definitely play it after, hanging out with some friends, maybe drinking some adult beverages. It's not a bad game. It's not something I would default to. I think Grab by the Ghoulies is much scarier, as is Shaq Fu for more than 10 minutes. And honestly, Sneak King might be a better horror game. But actual gameplay, it kind of reminds me of the Donkey Kong, 100 meter or 200 meter with the yellow blocks you got to run over. Kind of reminded me of that. I'd rather just play that Donkey Kong level on repeat. But, you can play it for free places, or you might just have it. It's worth playing. It's worth trying. But I would say that's like a $2 game. That's like a $2 and below, thumb up. If you like that type of gameplay, $2 and up, low. Don't buy.
How would you feel? Now you got to remember that game probably came out in 80.
It came out in 83.
Sorry,
83.
Was it 83? So the second, was it the third generation would have been coming out at then? Was no, that'd be still second generation coming out. So Atari being first, right? Was Atari the first generation, and Coleco and Television were second? So what would you think if you were playing it back before you had the games that you have today?
I mean, it's hard to compare because you look at this game, even with the lights out, I would even the lights out in me as a kid, outside of some of the sound effects being a little loud, I don't know if it would have scared me at all. Where a game like Alien Isolation nowadays, I never even saw the alien because when that vent falls 45 minutes into the game before you've even seen an enemy, I Alt F4 and uninstalled the game because I almost shit myself. And this game it didn't really have the horror, and maybe I don't know. Like, it's not. I'm not gonna say it was great. but it's decent. It's not a bad game. It's well coded. It works. Unlike a lot of modern games, but it works. But I'm gonna toss it back to JC here. I think I don't know. Maybe he'll have a fonder opinion of it.
So the one I 100% agree with you on. One major point is that when you first start playing the game, you have no idea where your character's at. You die 3, 4, or 5 times before you're like, oh, I'm over here. So I'm just going to preface this with I beat the game. Well, I don't know. Okay, I stopped Frankenstein's monster from escaping. Now, it obviously being an Atari game, arcade style will repeat and keep going, and you keep trying to get a higher score. But I was confused at first with the game, and I was even after reading a PDF of the manual, I still was a little bit confused on what to do for the first probably 10 minutes. And then after that, there are some things that I had some control issues, and maybe that was just I thought it was too it wasn't, the controls were not sensitive at all. Like I'd hit a button and then a second would go by and my character would jump or move or whatever. And sometimes that was hard to plan things, especially with the acid pit down at the bottom that you had to jump over. And then there's a part when you get the brick and there's like an enemy rush when you're going to put the brick on the top of the castle, where it goes to this it goes to this screen, and then there's like bats and stuff just flying at you at 100 miles an hour. Sometimes you can touch the bats and you don't get hurt. And sometimes the bats are inches away from you and you get hurt. Like, there doesn't really seem to be a whole lot of rhyme or reason to that one part of the game. Other than that, I took out not Dracula, Frankenstein's. Whoa, we're crossing over here. Frankenstein's monster. I stopped him from propagating his hateful Frankenstein ways on the world. And honestly, I'm gonna go with, I think if this game was at a flea market or at a yard sale, I would probably pay $10 for the cart. I don't think I would have a problem paying $10 for the cart, honestly. For like the ROM, I wouldn't pay for the ROM at all. But I would pay $10 for the cart, but I would give it a thumbs up. If you have access to the ROM, play it. Don't pay for it if you don't have to, and don't pay over.
It's free up on not the ROM, but you can actually you can find the ROM. But
I mean,
AtariOnline.org, you can play it in a browser. That's how I played it. So you can easily play it for free.
And I thought for 83, and I thought there was a lot going on in the game for being an Atari game. I thought the sound was good. And of course, I mean, Frankenstein's monster is just this white, possibly Stay Puft Marshmallow Man for all we know, standing at the top of the castle here with electric storm going on, and then the power thing every once in a while gets struck by lightning and it charges him up. But I mean, I thought it was pretty good. And in 1983, Electronic Gaming Magazine wrote that it had very charming graphics and an interesting game concept, and it even compared the game to Pitfall.
That's what I thought.
I can see the Pitfall.
I agree.
Yeah, that's what I thought was Pitfall.
Yep. The AV Club in 2013 cited the game as one of the highlights of the Atari 2600.
I was going to say, is there a life counter I missed in the game?
There is, but also you get 3 chances and then the game starts over.
Yeah,
gotcha.
It was up on the top. It was just little marks.
Yep.
Oh,
I also found this out. There's 2-player mode. You can play 2 players.
Really?
Yes.
See, I forget you read the directions.
I did. That came from the PDF, the directions.
Yeah.
2-player game. I mean, come on. I'm judging this at its time period and also its playability now. I'm giving it a thumbs up easily. Easy thumbs up for me. Don't pay money for it. $10 max for the cart, but easy thumbs up for me.
I mean, if we're showing off reading for these, I did read the Burger King gift card pamphlet from the Burger King games. Just to put that out there.
I appreciate that. You should have mentioned that a few episodes ago.
Yeah, sometimes things come late.
It's okay. What'd you think?
I kind of liked it. I mean, and I'm looking at it again, I look at it as a game that came out, and I didn't look at the year because I knew it was an older game, like we were talking about earlier. I knew it was 80, in the 80s. Like you said, Pitfall absolutely was you could just see it when you jump over the things. There was a lot going on the screen for again an Atari game. Um, the sound effects again. We're talking Atari technology. Were decent for a game that came out in '83. I did, like you guys, have a hard time figuring out where I was and what the hell I was supposed to do for probably the first 2 or 3 tries, and I was like, yeah, this game sucks. I'm not gonna play it. Well, before we came on the podcast, I played it again after watching a video of somebody else playing it. And I was like, oh, you can do this. Oh, you can do that. I still don't really understand what was going on with the bats. Or you can't really avoid them. They're going to hit you. But, it's it's kind of cool because there's a lot of moving things on the screen on that level. No spoilers here because there's only two real levels on it. They do change up things a little bit with the platforms, but for as much stuff as moving, I saw it today I've actually saw the cartridge today for the first time, and the store we went to in Macon, Georgia, it was $50. I kind of laughed because at that point I hadn't actually enjoyed the game, but now that I kind of enjoyed the game, I still wouldn't pay $50 for it. I tend to agree with JC on this. It's worth, maybe 15 tops because it is one of the more rare games because it came out about the time of the video game crash. So it probably didn't get its due. But I definitely give it a thumbs up. I didn't think, again, with as much stuff as going on in that game, it was to me it was kind of a fun game. So with that, I'll kick it off over to MC to get his now to find out if it lived up to his expectations.
No, I actually thought it was pretty good. But Donkey Kong's better, Pac Man's better, Pitfall's even better, I think. But this was, I thought, pretty neat game. Lots of colors. I mean, I played a lot of Atari when I was young, and mostly the Activision games were the best, and then you had your few Donkey Kong, Pac Man and Pitfall were the good ones. But I mean, I thought this was pretty good, but for the first 10 levels, 10 times I played in the beginning, I got killed and couldn't figure out what to do. And then I did go read the PDF instructions, just the first paragraph or two, till it said, hey, pick up the rock down the bottom and take it to the top. And then, I started doing that. Then I started figuring out the pattern, which, it was pretty chaotic. But, I figured out there's a lag in the jump. So you have to jump early and then, pick up the rock, get it to the top, and you move to the next level with all. I mean, well, the one thing at the bottom, John said that's an acid pool down there. I thought it was water. I thought I was drowning. I don't know. But anyway, anyway, getting to the second level where is that bats coming down? Is that what that was supposed to be, or the things you had to dodge? Was that bats? Is that what that
Yeah,
were?
it's bad. I think it was bats. Yeah.
Yeah, but you had to dodge them. No, I couldn't figure out I mean, I knew to dodge them, but I kept trying to get to the top and get to Frankenstein, but it didn't seem to do anything. And then you'd end up getting thrown down. And then if you get to the top, it would, then throw you into a second level. But I made it to the top a number of times, and I don't know where at the top I had to be to get to the second level of the castle. But I did make it a couple times through that in a couple levels, but I never got as far as John. I got a couple bricks, and of course it wouldn't be rocks; it'd be bricks in this because everything's square in Atari. We wouldn't have something round anyway.
Well, in the manual it says rocks.
Yeah, I know, but they should have said bricks because
That's where I got the acid pool thing from too, because it says that
yeah,
in the manual.
but it's blue. It looked like water, and you went
Yeah, it was
this,
blue.
like you're
It's like water.
drowning. So.
Yeah, it's like you fell in a sewer or something.
But I found out the trick is to stay on the ladders. It seemed like to stay away from the the spiders and everything. So if you stay on the ladders long enough, they'll all go away, and then you can run, and jump and everything else. But I mean, I thought it was a fairly tough game, but I did like it. I would pay maybe $5 or $10 for it. I wouldn't pay no more than $10. It's not a Donkey Kong or something or Pac Man, and it's not an Activision game. Like a lot of the Activision games, I thought were better graphics, better games, but it is good. I mean, after I figured out what to do, it did become addictive. And I, if I would have had more time, I'd have played longer and hopefully would have beat it like John. But I didn't have a whole lot of time to play it. But it does leave you blind. It doesn't really tell you anything. You have to read the manual, know what you're doing, and I didn't want to waste too much time doing that. So, but I liked
Wait,
it. I mean, I would.
is this the first game that we've all agreed thumbs up on?
Oh yeah, I mean, this is
I think
definitely what
so.
you want to play, but you don't want to pay a lot of money. I mean, if you get it for a buck or two, that'd be the best way to do it.
I think the first time all four of us have agreed. I think didn't we all agree Barbie's Horse Adventure was a good game?
I think Barbie's was good. Yeah,
Did we? I think we did actually. Okay, so
I
it's the
think
second time.
yeah.
Well, it's the first time with four of us that agreed.
One thing I forgot to say, I
Yeah.
did like how the Frankenstein would get bigger. When you lose, he'd come running right at you and get real big on the screen. I thought that was actually pretty good for an Atari game to do that, actually. So
Did it scare you?
that was probably the best part of the
Yeah,
game. When
it
you
did
died.
scare him. He had to call me, and I had to talk to him all night.
Yeah, you had to talk him
I
down.
was scared.
I talk him down. All
But I
right,
thought
well,
that was neat, the scaling they had, because you don't see a lot of games like that. So
thumbs up from everybody here at the Tekaji Podcast for Frankenstein's Monster. As we always say here at the Tekaji Podcast, stay spooky, my friends. I snuck that one in without telling you guys I was going to do it. Stay spooky, everybody.